Hey, what's up, garden friends? Welcome back. How to save your dying citrus part 2. This is an update video to actually my most popular video ever, as how to save a dying citrus. So a while back I was gifted a little mandarin tree and it was struggling, and so I brought it home, babied it and gave it all the love and care it needed. I put it right here in this location right here. This is the original spot from the original video, but guess what? That tree's not here. But did it die or did it flourish? Let's find out right now. And voila, our tree actually made it. It's doing quite well. I've got to move it to a new location. So where I originally put it in the backyard was the only spot I had at the time. It got a little bit of sun, but not a lot. And this area that's in now was also in dense shade, but I had a few oak trees that were past their prime, and they were sick and dying, and arborist said we got to pull them out. So we had pulled some trees out. It created a ton of new sunshine in this area in my front yard. And so you can see we moved, it's a little, I think it's a Owari Satsuma mandarin. We moved it to the front yard. You can see I just put a ton of wood chips down this last spring and summer, and it's really, really thick with wood chips. I made sure not to pile the wood chips up against the trunk. So even though I've got a lot of thick wood chips out here to kind of slow the weeds down and build up the soil and do all other great things that wood chips do, mulch, we don't pile it up against a tree. This tree, we added a lot of compost into the soil here. We added some organic fertilizers, some citrus food. Right now is a decent time to feed them if you can, if you haven't already. But I like to just kind of just build that soil up, let that soil feed the plants, have it well draining and rich and loose. And so citrus are an amazing plant to grow. For me, if you want to rescue one from dying, tricks are try to identify what's going on. Sorry, my tripod actually broke in between the first take and this take. But try to identify what the problem is. This one, I said it was in a container. You could tell it was neglected, probably underwatered, indoors for quite a while in a store, and then probably stuck outside dry. And then it went into shock, dropped a bunch of leaves. You saw it in the first video. I mean, there's maybe not even a dozen leaves on the tree. You can see a little bit of sun scald on that fruit right there. I pulled off most of the fruit and I left one just for fun. But we did amend it, and so for us it was more stress on this tree. Other times I've seen citrus have struggles is when the suckers, when you see at the base of your tree, you'll see a ton. Actually, this one actually had one just the other day that I pulled off. Let me see, and it was just right here. It was a shoot coming up. That was a sucker branch, and it was starting to go through the canopy. Luckily, I got to it quick and pulled it out. Sometimes I've seen citrus trees where a lot of those suckers really dominate and outcompete the rest of your tree or shrub. And then that's a problem. So cut those out, remove those, and that'll help replenish a plant if that's the issue. Like I said, watering, they're not water hogs, but they definitely want to be, give them a deep soak and then let them dry out in between waterings. But they can struggle, especially this one. You can see there has been some sunburn. We just came through a summer. You can see a little bit of burn on this leaf down here. Very extreme heats. I mean, a lot of days over 100 degrees, a lot of days over 105 degrees Fahrenheit here in my region in Sacramento. And so pretty intense. It was difficult to get out here and keep them watered and cared for enough, but they made it through. You see a lot of new leaf growth developing on there. And so I think we're just gonna keep the good times rolling, keep the watering proper. And another thing that you're gonna look for in your citrus too is just pests. Look for insects damage. I've seen people in the comments from the first video, and they're struggling with different things, but it really depends on, try to identify what the problem is. Is it the temperature, the weather conditions, the environmental factors like that? Is it the watering? Is it pests, scales, aphids, cottony cushion scale, woolly aphids? I've seen the scale be a big problem where you see entire branch sections that just die off, right? And so look for insects, get in there, look for insect damage. If you're not sure what that looks like, you can cut off a branch if you see something funny, and bring it into your local nursery, put it in a bag and see if you can identify it or get it identified. And that's a good start. So that's another thing is pests. I like to try to use organic means, spray them off with a jet of water first, see how that goes, and then go from there with some insecticidal soaps, some spinosad, some neem oil. It really just depends, but I like to try to keep it light. I like to try to even avoid even using those if I can. So really identify the problem. I know there was a big thing with citrus greening, and it's a horrible disease that comes from an insect, the Asian Psyllet or whatever, and it was a bummer. It's been a huge problem for a lot of farmers and growers and cultivators. Luckily, where we're at, it's not so much of an issue right now, but really that's the thing, is it environmental factors, right? Is it too hot, too cold, not enough water, too much water? Look at your soil. Look for insect damage, look for disease problems. And if you're not sure, like I said, take little clippings and try to take some little pieces and get identified where you can. And really it's gonna be region specific. But before you leave me, I have one last thing to show you. Actually, I probably shouldn't have talked so long, but I actually did something interesting. I actually multiplied this tree. So when it was struggling and it started to get a few new branches on it, I took a branch cutting and I did something interesting. And yeah, I think you'll be surprised with the results. All right, so in addition to saving that tree just as is and moving it to a nice bright sunny spot, giving it all the love and care that it needs, good soil, good organic fertilizer and compost and mulch and whatnot, proper irrigation, keeping the pests off it, I actually took a small branch, a little cutting off of that original Owari Satsuma that you just saw, and I grafted it to this Cara Cara navel orange. Delicious orange, I mean, amazing tree, it grows really, really well for us, and the oranges are amazing. However, I came in here, let me see if I can sneak past some of these branches and fruits, and you can see right down in here is actually, let me move this branch out of the way, you can see right there where I actually grafted a branch onto the original tree, and that was that small little cutting, small little scion branch that I took, and guess what? It grew out, and I'm trying to train that branch. It's going out and out and up and up and up, and look at all that fruit on there. You saw that, and that one up there is all the way to the top of it. So everything over here is the Cara Cara navel orange. Everything from here down is all of that mandarin that you saw cutting from. And I'm trying to train most of the branches to go up. It needs to be clipped, but I've got some delicious fruit on here that I'm gonna wait till I can harvest it. You can see these are all beautiful mandarins, seedless, easy to peel, delicious. I mean, come on, look at that. You can see them just clustered up, just super big clusters. So that's gonna be delicious. You can see them in here. I've been training the other branches. It takes a little cutting back, so I had to keep cutting back this orange on this side to provide enough area, and I actually still need to, even right now. You can see, like right here, you can see this branch coming out and out competing this. But I want to create a section for this area, the mandarin, to do well. And so, little fruit cocktail tree here. Ooh, no big deal, but that's a great way. So that's another way to revive a tree if you were moving, or if a tree's not doing so well, but you do have some healthy growth on there, and you're like, hey, I want to keep that thing alive. You can do all the things I just mentioned, but you can also take a cutting and graft it to another tree to see if you can keep that variety alive. So, and it's kind of gnarly that the small cutting that I took attached to this healthier tree is actually probably 4 or 5 times the size of the original tree already, because it just got attached to a stronger root system and was able to get off and get going. So full sun, you know, good amount of water. Irrigate your citrus trees as needed. You know, you don't want them to dry out for too long, but you also don't want them to stay inundated. Keep them fertilized, look for pests. It's all those simple things. Really give them what they want. I know it was a fun video, and I got a lot of interaction, and I really appreciate everybody commenting and talking and sharing their ideas. But what's kind of cool is if you want to save a tree or any plant, just try to find, it's like a mystery. Try to find out the source of what's going on. Try to see what's possible that you can do on your end, because there's only so much we can do, right? If it's gone, it's gone. But I think you'd be shocked at some of the plants that you can revive and bring back. It just takes a little TLC and a little bit of care, little bit of research, and you got this, friends. So happy gardening to you all. Please never stop growing. Like, share, subscribe, and all that great stuff. And we'll see you back for another garden adventure.